Hi, Mumble. So you're gonna you gotta watch the show. Hi guys, welcome back to another story time with Michelle. First of all, I want to say I am recording this with a different set of recording devices. I'm using my webcam now instead of a camera, and I'm using Audacity and this headset, my gaming headset, for the audio. So I apologize if it's weird to see me in a headset, or maybe it's cool. If you like it, if you think I'd be cool as a gamer, go ahead and check out my gaming channel. It is linked on my channel here. But that being said, let's go into the story of the video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the forbidden topic. And whatever you're thinking, just stop now because you're wrong and just listen to what I'm going to say. The forbidden topic, in my life at least, is work. I'm not allowed to talk about my workplace. So what am I doing, you may ask? Actually, I'm not specifically talking about my workplace. I'm going to be talking about people in general who do the stuff that I do. I can tell you guys just this much, that I work in retail and I work at a place that sells balloons. And that is a humongous part of what I do at my job. And there are some things that just infuriate me. I've held my silence for too long. I need to tell you guys things that you should not do to people who work in retail. It's going to be a list, and I don't know how many there are, so I'll just say blank things you shouldn't do to people in retail. And then I'll just put a number over here. Ta-da! It's a beautiful number that says something. Because I don't know how many I'm going to come up with. Number 1. Don't be a total jerk. Simple as that. This is the most common one that you'll hear from everyone. No matter where you work or what you do, you want people to treat you like what you are. A human being, right? Unfortunately, there seems to be a handful of people in this universe who find it their duty to make the rest of us feel miserable every single day, without fail, no matter what we do. Like, hi, I'm human, nice to meet you. You wanna, act like normal people? That was shaking hands. Yay. But without fail, there's always somebody who's going, you know what, you're just not doing your job right. And I'm going, actually, this is our procedure. It's right here on this paper. It's invisible, but it's here. Number two is, again, kind of obvious, but some people, it just goes over their heads. Don't act like you know more than we do. We work at that place every single week. Depends if we're part-time, full-time, but we work there every single week. We know where the stuff is in the store. So don't say, oh, this is supposed to be this price. Because I know it's not. Especially if you found it in the wrong spot because somebody else was treating the store like trash and decided to put that one thing in another spot because they were too lazy to put it back or too lazy to even bring it up to the front and say, hey, I don't need this anymore. And we'd be like, cool, thanks, we'll put that away. But no, they had to be like, I'll just throw it right here on the shelf. And it's like a pink princess something, and they threw it in with the Avengers section. And you're like, I didn't know there was a princess in the Avengers. Did you know? Did you know? Okay, I didn't know. So don't act like you know what it is. Ask. There is the solution. Just ask. Say, hey, I found this over here. I'm not sure if it goes. Can you do a price check for me? Sure. I would be glad to do that for you. Or I could tell you how much it is because I have it memorized. A subset of this is something that truly annoys me, and people who do this, just stop. Just stop. When something comes up, when you bring a basket full of stuff up, right? And they all have their barcodes except for this one little toy or something, one little tiny thing that doesn't have a barcode on it. It doesn't matter if you know the exact price. Okay, let me say that again. It doesn't matter if you know how much that thing costs. I still need a barcode. I am not the magical person who's able to type in a few codes and then charge you for 25 cents for a little toy. I can't do that. I need a barcode. And the reason for this is that we all have inventory in a store. There's a certain amount of stuff in the store. And if we just suddenly charge you for something, we need to have a barcode for that. So I cannot charge you for something without a barcode. And I will not charge you for something else that has the kind of same price, because then it says that we sold one extra more of those than we actually did, and one less extra one of the actual thing that you got. Does that make sense? So don't come up to us and say, oh, well, it's 25 cents if that helps. No, it does not help. It does not help. I need a barcode. So that's why when I go on the walkie-talkie, I'm like, hey, can you get me a SKU for this? Unless you have the exact SKU number, or the UPC, or the barcode memorized, you could draw it for me. That's fantastic. You can do that. But if you don't have that, don't say anything. Just stand there and smile and understand that I'm trying to do my job, okay? Number 3. Now, number 3 has to do specifically with my store. Not all retail deals with some of the things that I deal with. The reason why this is important to me is because it's kind of unique to my job. So I guess it is beneficial for you to know if you ever happen to go to a store like mine. Not necessarily my store. If I'm there, come say hi to me. But not, you know what I'm trying to say. Not all stores sell balloons, but my store does. And it's actually a really big part of what we do. We even have a balloon counter. We have people who are good for balloons. Like, they know what's up. I'm one of those people who kind of knows what's up. Like, if a balloon doesn't float, I know what to do to make it float. If, you've got some question about, can I add 5 extra balloons to my balloon order that I have for Saturday? Yes, come talk to me. I will help you out with that. I know the answers to all those sorts of things. And yet there are some people who think that they know more about balloons than I do. And I've been doing this for over a year now. So I guess all the things that I mentioned before, like rules 1 and 2, they're rules now. Don't do this. Rule number 1. All those rules apply to rule number 3. Don't treat us like trash. We're humans. We're trying to do the best we can. And don't act like you know more than us. Maybe you do, but act dumb so that we feel better about it. Okay, so since 3 is a pretty nice number, and I'm kind of done being negative, I want to give you some rules and guidelines on how to be nicer to people in retail. Little hints and tips that you don't really think are that important, and you wouldn't really think would matter that much. Because the first one was obvious, like, don't treat us like trash. But some of these things I'm about to say, it's like, never would have thought of it. Listen up, here it comes. These are the do's. Number 1, do talk to them using their name. Especially if they have a name tag that says, hi, my name is Michelle. Right there. Call them by their name. You have no idea what that does to people, especially if they work in fast food or retail or some unforgiving, lifeless landscape. You don't know what that does. And I wish I could explain what that does. It's basically like you're going through your whole day and everyone's like treating you like an ATM machine. Like, hi, here's my information. Here, do stuff and take care of me. And now I'm going to be on my way. Bye. And you're like, have a nice day. And they're like, yeah, you too. You're like, thanks. That's a typical conversation. You're treated like an ATM machine. ATM, not machine, because it's a double machine. You know what I mean. But when you say their name, suddenly they become a person. Honestly, like, if you are having a rough day and you just wish that people would be nice to you, you don't want to go to people and be all mean to them because they're going to be mean to you back. There are some exceptions and people are super awesome and they're still nice to you when you're mean to them. But for the most part, if you want people to be nice to you, go to a retail store and call someone by their real name. Like, if you see somebody and they've got this name tag and it's Richard and you're like, hey Richard, can you help me out with something? I was looking for this. And they'd be like, yeah, here, let me help you. And suddenly they know you see them as a human, and it's the coolest thing. So, number one, call us by our names. Use our names if we have a name tag. Oh my gosh, please. It makes my day every single time. And it's only happened like 3 or 4 times in my entire year that I've worked at my workplace. Only about 3 or 4 times that people will call me by my name. But it makes my day every single time. And it really means a lot. Okay, come here. Don't get emotional, Michelle. So number 2 of the do's. Be understanding. And now this is one of the obvious ones, I guess, but you have to understand that maybe someone is having a bad day somewhere. You don't know what one person has gone through that day. You don't know what those sales associates, what their life is like at home, especially if they're a teenager, and then it's like May time and they're going through finals. Be nice. Be understanding. You don't know what they're going through. This is the rule for life. Here we go. Rule for life. Doesn't even matter if you're going to someplace in retail or fast food or anybody else in the whole entire world. If you come across somebody, treat them like you would want to be treated. It's the golden rule, and you never know what they're going through. You never know. Not unless they're like, oh hey, by the way, my parents are getting a divorce, my dog just died last night, and my uncle, I found out, has cancer. You have no idea what they're going through. So don't take your bad day and spill it out on their plate, because chances are they're going home and crying themselves to sleep at night. That's not all people, but it's some, and you don't know who, so be nice. Don't get emotional, Michelle. And finally, number 3, because I figured it would be nice to wrap it up with 3 of each kind. This is more involved than just a simple catchphrase or something like that. Because in retail, or gosh, at any job, when you're working with customer service and customers and people, I do get complimented on my ability to be open and kind and smiling and happy all the time. And trust me, I'm not happy all the time, but when I am at work, I do dig into this extra reserve I have inside and just kind of spill it out on everybody, and it's like happiness, and people don't know what to do with it, and they're like, how are you so happy? You work in retail. And I'm like, it's my own little secret. But here's something you can do for people like us. When we try to connect with you, don't be entirely closed. There are many times when I've been working and a lady comes up and she's getting balloons, says that they're for her son, and as I get to talk with her as I'm doing the balloons, and I just chat with her because that's who I am, and it's customer service, we're supposed to be nice, but I find out that her kid is mentally disabled, and yet he's in karate and he finally got his blue belt, and that he's gone farther than anybody ever expected him to go. And then I found out that her husband works at the same place my dad works. And then there are like all these connections that happen, and then it's like a happy festivities, and then balloons and stuff, and we just have an awesome day and an awesome moment. And I don't know if that made her day. Probably not. I didn't have an inspiring story, but she walked up and she was open to me, and I was just, trying to be nice and trying to be happy, and then she said, you're just so happy all the time, and I said, there's a reason for that. And then we started talking, and she was open and honest with me, and I learned a little bit of her story. And there's something to be said for that. It's not just you're going to a store and buying balloons or buying stuff, food, plates and napkins. You're talking to people. Real people who have stories. Real people who can make a difference in the world. Don't get emotional, Michelle. I'd like to tie this in with one of these. This is something interesting. I get a lot of questions about these bracelets, and every single one has its own story. This one right here, with the cheetah print, I got in memorandum, I guess, of a year working where I work. The point of all of these are to serve as a reminder. It's supposed to be a reminder for me, so that when I look down at my arms or I'm doing something with my hands, I can look down and I'll see that, and I'll think to myself, there's a reason for everything we do. And I may not be able to change the world in super dramatic ways like the President of the United States. I may not be able to be an ambassador to other countries just yet. I may not be able to go and travel to Cambodia and then help orphans, or go to Russia and talk to people and figure out their stories. I may not be able to do that right now in this situation, in this point in my life, but whatever I'm doing right now, I should be doing the best I can at it. And so that's what this helps me to remember. Is whenever I'm feeling like I'm not making a difference, I'm not changing the world like I want to. Sometimes I am changing just a little bit at a time. And if a simple retail girl can think that way, you can inspire another retail man, woman, boy, girl to think the same. I'm not expecting you to go up and be like, you know what? You're changing the world, because they're going to be like, yeah, okay, have fun with that. But you could go and say, oh, hey, Michelle, thank you very much for helping me out. Or, hey, Michelle, can I just tell you, I'm new at this. I've never done this before. How do you buy balloons for a friend for their birthday? That makes my day. So those are the 3 do's and the 3 don'ts. Actually, it was don'ts and then do's. Of what to do to retail people. Basically what to do to anybody who ever works in a minimum wage job. Because more or less it's like volunteering. You wouldn't treat a volunteer like that, would you? Don't get emotional, Michelle. That is the end of story time. Thank you very much for watching. Tell me what made you smile. Tell me what made you laugh. Tell me what made you cry. I really hope I didn't make you cry. Oh my gosh. If you felt inspired today, tell me why, and then possibly share it with your friends if you felt inspired. If you know somebody who works in retail or fast food or some minimum wage job like that, go ahead and let them know. I feel them. I understand. And we're all in this together. So I'll see you guys. Peace out. And bye!